Hello there. Welcome back to the Schools of Excellence podcast. Come sit with me here. We're going to have a really interesting conversation today about calm, because calm is this experience that all leaders pray for. But then the moment calm shows up, it's almost like, oh, what? It's calm now? That means I could go do X, Y, and Z. So most leaders know exactly what to do when things fall apart. They reach out, they ask for help, they bring in support, or they hustle harder, whatever it is, right? But today I actually want to talk about why calm is not an accident, okay? And I want to talk about the moment before the collapse or the crisis happens. The moment when things feel calm is a lot of times when leaders say, things are good right now. I don't need support. If you have said that, this conversation is for you. Not because you're wrong, you're disengaged. Because there is something really critical and important that is hiding inside the calm that I want to help you deconstruct today. Okay? When chaos hits, leadership and leaders reach out. When things calm down, leaders disappear. Leaders disappear. Support is something that we call in the face of an emergency. And the moment things get calm, we kind of treat it as these prizes or these pauses that we get between storms, right? This temporary thing and something that you don't want to disturb. It's it's calm. I can't reach out to anyone right now. And I get it, because calm feels like relief, right? And this is something I hear at events all the time. Whenever I go to events, I'm always curious about what is the vernacular in the industry right now? What is some of the messaging that is going around? And I go around and I talk to people, right? And after I talk to people, I take my notes and I write down what I saw. And then when I come home, I study the patterns of what I heard. So common things that I hear at events. Honestly, everything is so good right now. My team is doing so well. I'll hear so many versions of this. Okay. Now I believe you. If you've ever said this, I 100% believe you. I am not skeptical of the fact that everything is good and that your team is doing well. And I am not someone who looks for things that are wrong. What I'm listening for isn't whether things are actually good. I want to know whether the leader knows why things are good right now. Why is your team doing well right now? Because sometimes everything is good is actually not stability. Sometimes everything is good means no one is escalating. Nothing urgent is landing on your desk. There isn't a fire demanding your attention. And the emotional volume inside of the center is low. And that kind of calm feels amazing. Especially if you've been in survival for a long time. That kind of calm is yummy. It's, oh my God, thank you. And there is a quiet distinction between leaders who were never taught to make the difference between things being calm and things actually being held with stability. Because calm, if you're only looking at it as the absence of demand on your time and attention, then it could disappear overnight. But when calm is being held by rhythms and standards and boundaries and clear decisions, it leaves fingerprints. Calm doesn't mean that nothing is happening, my dears. Something is working in the calm. And if you don't slow down long enough to know what is working and why, what is holding the team steady right now? Why are things calm? What are you doing differently right now? Really, not just I just let go. No, what are you actually doing differently? What decisions are you not making? What meetings are you not part of? What does your calendar look like? When is your door closed? What is your capacity going towards? Don't just say, oh, but I'm not doing the day-to-day stuff. No, that's speaking in platitudes. If we don't slow down long enough, you miss the evidence of calm. And when you miss the evidence of calm, you miss the chance to turn an amazing season into a repeatable one because you leave it to chance. If you don't believe that you participate in the creation of chaos, then you also won't believe that you participate in the creation of calm. And so chaos always feels like something attacking you from the outside, and calm feels like something that you just stumbled into, which means you're not building capacity. You're building coping skills. You're building sophisticated systems of survival. It means that you hire mentors, not as architects to support infrastructure build, but you hire mentors to help you firefight. So you never learn how to reproduce what's working. Calm becomes a fluke instead of data and evidence and information of something that you're doing that is working, and something that might be only working temporarily because someone else absorbed something. It's like, oh, this is temporary calm. This is actually not repeatable calm. Let's study this a little bit better. This is why in our owners only calls in my Leadership HQ program, where I work with school leaders and my team and I work with school leaders, we have consistent conversations about studying the calm and studying the data of what has produced the calm over the last 2 weeks, 30 days. That is how you create repeatable systems, rhythms, and standards to consistently recreate calm inside of your organization. So one of the things that I also like to do when I talk to leaders one-on-one, and I still work with leaders one-on-one, and I think it's super important for anyone that is coaching or mentoring at a high level to be talking to leaders one-on-one consistently, or you're going to lose touch with what's real. And so when I go to events or when I speak to people, I'm listening for what they're not saying. And so something that I often hear is, I finally stepped back and they had to figure it out, which is a classic, like, I just stopped coming in and it was like a sink or swim approach, or I went on vacation and they, were forced to figure it out. And that might be true. Okay. And there's growth in that statement, right? There's real effort. There's real relief. Okay. Because stepping back takes courage, right? Especially if you've been the one holding everything for a really long time. But here's the thing that goes really unexamined. Okay. What actually happened when you stepped back? Did the team build new capacity, new skills, new confidence, new ownership? Or did someone just quietly absorb what you used to do? Did emotional labor simply just shift hands? That happened in my company until I stopped back and stepped back and was like, whoa, 1 second. I just shifted emotional labor to the next person. That's not infrastructure. That's passing down exhaustion. Because from the outside, both look like progress, but internally it's a totally different experience, because one builds infrastructure and stamina and the other just redistributes exhaustion. Stepping back is important, but stepping back without studying what held while you stepped back, what decisions changed, what rhythms carried the weight, what boundaries made space. Leadership is going to feel very accidental if you're not studying it. And accidental leadership in creating calm accidentally means that you can't recreate it. And this is where I want to be really clear, because this is where drift comes in. And drift does not begin in chaos. Drift begins in calm. Because when calm is interpreted as the storm passed, everyone's behaving right now, let's not rock the boat, there's nothing to do. What happens is now you're not being intentional with your leadership, which means it very slowly, very creepily goes back to circumstance. And this is where a lot of leaders would recognize themselves, where you're still there, quote unquote, but you're not present in the same way, right? You're reacting less to issues. So you're like, oh, this is progress, but you're also leading less intentionally. You've stopped asking what's working and why. What did I do differently this month? What rhythm is holding my team right now? And so without realizing it, you hand leadership back to circumstance. And then when chaos comes back, and it always does, because leadership works through seasons, then the chaos feels very sudden, but it isn't sudden. You stop studying the calm. There's another protective instinct that shows up here. Because leaders say things like, I don't want to create problems when there aren't any problems. Okay, studying calm is not about creating problems. Studying calm is about noticing patterns. It's about noticing patterns. One of the things that I have inside of my leadership program for leaders that have worked with me for a while is I have something called anchored access. And anchored access is really exactly what it is. It's just keeping you anchored through access. And the access is about consistently studying the calm, because you've created certain infrastructure and stability inside of your organization. Now let's make sure we're consistently aligning and anchoring in the calm, because when you're not anchored, you will drift, and you cannot anchor yourself. You cannot anchor yourself. You must have someone else anchoring you and reminding you and asking you those questions, because you inevitably get stuck in your own storm. I had the same mentor for over 10 years for that reason. I don't come to my mentor every time there's a crisis. I come because I want him to guide me in studying the calm and predictable patterns of infrastructure and leadership that I want to build inside of my organization, right? If you don't name things when they're steady, then you'll be forced to manage them when it gets loud and chaotic. Sometimes calm can get framed as proof, right? Like a leader will say, I had a leader text me, it's really calm now and I went on vacation for 3 weeks. Aren't you proud of me? Like, isn't that amazing that I'm letting things go? And I think it's amazing, right? Especially for a leader who's holding everything together for years and has never gone on vacation. Going on vacation can feel like a breakthrough. It takes a lot of courage to step away, to turn off your phone, to trust that things won't fall apart when you're gone. But absence is not the same as leadership transfer. Absence is not the same as a true leadership transfer. Sometimes things don't fall apart when you're away because the team rallies, not because the systems are strong, but because they know you're not available. And so they push harder, they cover for one another, they tolerate more, and they hold their breath until you get back. And so from the outside, it looks like success. Nothing exploded. No emergencies landed in your inbox. But from the inside, people are stretching in ways that are not sustainable. And so over time, while you're away, right, they answer late night texts, they smooth parent conflict, they keep the peace so you can rest. And calm holds, but it's not holding because leadership has been distributed properly. It's holding because emotional labor has been absorbed by someone else on the team. Now, space can create relief, absolutely, but relief does not create structure. And the real question isn't whether you left or gone on vacation. A lot of people can go on vacation, okay? It's what held while you were gone, and can it hold again without someone needing to absorb the emotional impact or burning out while you're gone in the process. That's the difference between calm that is borrowed and calm that is built. There's a difference between calm that is borrowed and calm that is built. At the heart of my book, This Can't Be Normal, all about rhythm-based leadership, is that systems create structure, but only rhythms create safety. Because if calm is always seen as accidental, rhythms will always be abandoned, because leaders stop showing up when things are good. They stop naming what's working. They stop witnessing the patterns that hold the team. And slowly and quietly and very, very, very subtly, you drift. Not because you don't care, but because all humans drift. And so you need to understand that stability requires stewardship, not management, not control, stewardship. Calm seasons are not breaks from leadership. Calm seasons are diagnostic seasons. They are the seasons when you ask, what rhythms are holding right now? What boundaries are working? What decisions are creating this level of steadiness? What would help me reproduce, recreate, and multiply this calm? That is how capacity is built. You cannot build capacity when everything is on fire. You cannot build capacity when you're multiplying and duplicating centers and acquiring at record pace. You can't see clearly then. Capacity is built in the calm. I have an entire chapter on drift inside my book, This Can't Be Normal, because drift is not failure and drift is not burnout. These are moments that leaders quietly stop studying what's working and start assuming it'll just hold on its own. Nothing holds on its own, not with humans, okay? And the chapter on drift is not about urgency. It's about noticing the moment you disappear from leadership because things finally feel okay. And I teach you inside of this chapter how to stay present without feeling like it's, oh my God, I'm choking. Because before the chaos brings you back into that moment, let's see how we can recreate the calm. Okay? If you have ever disappeared when things were calm, not because you didn't care, but because no one taught you that calm was something that you can learn from, this book is for you. Okay. This Can't Be Normal is not a book for crisis moments. It's a companion for leaders who want calm and peace to be familiar and predictable, not fragile. It is a choice to stay present when things are finally steady. So I want to invite you to learn that calm is not an accident. It's actually something that you can reproduce and recreate. If you're interested in learning more, click the link in the show notes. You can get my book wherever books are sold. This Can't Be Normal: What to Do when Success Starts to Feel Like Survival. Thanks again for joining me.
Hey there. If you're the one who notices problems before anyone else does, this is for you. You're the one who sees things first. The tension in the room, the teacher sleeping who just might quit. You're already tracking the consequences. Who will be upset? Who will push back? So even on days that look fine or feel calm, your body doesn't fully stand down. You go to sleep tired and you wake up already bracing. Not because today is chaotic or any day is chaotic, but because something could go wrong. And you know you'll be the one that's holding it. It's the responsibility that can sometimes feel crushing. You stay alert, reliable, and steady because you've seen what happens when things aren't held, when communications slip, when standards soften, when everyone assumes someone else will step in. And because you're so good at holding it, more of it finds its way to you, quietly, gradually, until no one sees how heavy it's become. This is not burnout, and this is not a discipline problem. It's what I call the invisible weight of leadership. If you see yourself in this, or even if your breath changed just a little bit, that's enough. And if you want to keep going and learn more, the opening chapter of my book, This Can't Be Normal: What to Do when Success Starts to Feel Like Survival. My book continues this conversation. You can go ahead and download chapter 1 for free and continue this dialogue.
If you are loving the Schools of Excellence podcast and have gotten any value out of it for your school, I would love if you can do 2 things for me. 1, subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode. And 2, can you please leave us a review? Reviews help other school leaders know that this is the place to learn how to build a school of excellence. And I would be so grateful if you can do that for us. Your help and support makes this show to be able to be listened by the thousands of other school leaders all around the world. Thanks so much for listening, for giving us your time and attention each and every week, and I appreciate that you have joined us.